G'day, and welcome back to the $100,000 to $1 million challenge. I am getting excited as I believe there are some exceptional buying opportunities coming up with Shanghai taking place in 16 days' time. Please note that the information contained in this video is not financial advice and is purely for entertainment purposes. In today's video, we'll start with a look at how the portfolio stands today, an overall market outlook, my altcoin buys and sells since the last video, a full list of all trades, and a look at a subset of some of the current watch list of alts that I am looking to buy. Now, the portfolio to begin with. In the last video, we're looking at about 105k. We've come up again to 119k. Now, all I've been doing is patiently waiting for prices to spike and then selling into these spikes. I've been able to do a mental reset. I've blocked out all of the noise, and now I'm feeling much better about my trading. As you can see, I've got 45k plus in Tether, 25k plus in USDC, so I'm over 70k in stablecoins, which I'm really happy about. So my downside is well protected at the moment. And in terms of the alts that I'm currently holding, obviously a lot of Litecoin, a lot of Ethereum, and I've just kept a hold of the alts that I really want to have a piece of. Otherwise, I'm just waiting in stables and patiently waiting for the time to go 100% in. Let's start off with Bitcoin. Well, in my first video, back on January 10th, back over here, January 10th, Litecoin closed at 17,445. In that video, I said that I would be very surprised if Bitcoin does not reach 28,000 by the middle of the year. My yellow line over here. Let's see, January the 10th, we're not even halfway to that yellow line, and we're already at 28k. So certainly we are here earlier than I expected, and that does mean that the price targets do need to be extended. Now, from the last video, we were looking pretty much here, the 12th, we were kind of here, and USDC had depegged, Silvergate, Silicon Valley Bank, they're blowing up. What happened? The Fed stepped in to backstop the banks. On Twitter, I wrote this: US banks getting backstop approval paves the way for USDC to be seen as a credible stablecoin solution, which is a huge confidence booster for the crypto industry. My central case now is that the market ranges until Shanghai, then takes off after my retrace targets moves up. Once this USDC thing kind of got sorted, had some God candles come in, and since then it's been up only for these last 2 weeks. It's been something to behold, that's for sure. We've got banks blowing up left, right, center. Central banks all over the world have come in to backstop them. The Fed balance sheet now is almost back to where it was before quantitative tightening began. I had this inverse head and shoulders. I had my target down here for the right shoulder. It's come in a lot earlier. This is a valid inverse head and shoulders. It's a super powerful reversal pattern, and the measure move for this, the conservative measure move for this, is 33k. Like I was talking about in my previous video with the Litecoin head and shoulders, this has been just down. You get a massive reversal like this. This is going to go 33k, and I expect definitely more than 33k. Let's just say that, given the downtrend that we've had and this powerful reversal pattern right here. Now, also we've got DXY, which has come down. Other than last day where it's come up a little bit, it's been a pretty decent downtrend since last video. I mean, it's pretty inevitable. You'd think that it's going to come into support here at 101, and then from there we'll see what happens. Now, in terms of Bitcoin target, I've said 33k by my yellow line in the middle of the year. That's my new target. That's conservative. Up to 49k would not surprise me. Okay, I know it's a big number, and it's kind of it's a huge move from the bottom, but 33 to 49 would not surprise me. I would be surprised if we do not hit 33. I can say that. Now, in terms of 50, hitting 50, I would be surprised if we hit 50k by the middle of the year or at any time this year, because for me that is huge psychological resistance. This big round number of $50,000, there's going to be all kinds of resistance if we do get up there. I'd be really surprised if we get 350k. Nothing's impossible, of course. This is crypto, but I would be really surprised. Now, I have been very disciplined, even with Bitcoin putting in these god candles, making huge moves. I haven't gone all into altcoins, and all of this is because of Shanghai. So let's take a look at the ETH chart. Now, on the ETH chart, in my opinion, Shanghai is the only thing keeping a lid on crypto prices at the moment. And once Shanghai passes, which is this blue line here, I expect prices are going to go berserk for 2 months. So between this green and this yellow line, that's about 2 months. My central case is that prices are going to go berserk. You know, nothing's for certain, that's for sure. But that's what I'm looking. That's kind of how I'm planning. Because, you know, there's a chance that anything can happen. Alts could take off here. I could be left on the sidelines. It's possible. But what I'm doing is I'm blocking out all the noise, as I said I'll do in my previous video, and I'm sticking to my own plan. Now, at the moment, ETH, this is refusing to retrace. It's quite a huge bid, because BTC, quite a huge bid. ETH's going to naturally follow to some degree. It hasn't followed to the same degree, but it certainly has followed. Now, what I did is I did the hard thing, and I said, after my mental reset, I said, look, Shanghai's coming up. I'm expecting a retrace or range into Shanghai. Once ETH put in these big candles, I sold some here at 17. I sold some here at 1770. At the moment, we're at 1753, so I'm kind of just a little bit underwater from where I made those sells. It's been hard not to throw me back in, but I've been very disciplined. Now, in terms of what I'm expecting, you know, I've got my red lines here. They've really done pretty well. This is the USDC kind of massive dump here to come outside of my red lines, but they're doing pretty well. And I do expect Shanghai to come out of these red lines. That's my central case. What I'm expecting is that you're going to have some of the people, especially the big actors that have got their ETH locked up, they're going to have scripts written, they're going to have bots ready, so that as soon as this Shanghai upgrade comes out, they'll have bots that are able to go in one transaction, get their claim, and sell. If they're people who need to sell. And there will be people who need to sell. So I'm expecting, you know, if we range here, if we come down a little bit, that there will be a decent wick, kind of like this. There'll be a decent wick on this day, and that's where I'm looking to catch bids. That's where I'm looking to get some ETH. That's where I'm looking to get all my alts. That's what I'm hoping for. If I miss out, okay, I've got this little window here of a week to also try and get in, and try and get into the things that I want to get into. Let's take a look at Litecoin. You know, talk about crypto. I was so down because last video we were literally here on this massive dump, and since then price has put up, I think it's gone up by over 45% from bottom to top. Just crazy in 2 weeks to put in that kind of move. Makes sense though. Like I was looking at in the last video, I was saying that RSI here was the lowest level it's been in the last 4 years, with the exception of COVID. So it makes sense that we're going to get a big bounce. Now, I did again think about getting the leader out to sell here, but it's just getting too tight. It's getting too tight. Like I've said, for me, Litecoin's leading this since the start of the year. It's going to break out first, and here it goes. It's just, I just can't fade it. In fact, 78.2, if we happen to get a retrace down there, which is asking a lot, but if we do, I have a big order there to fill. I'm that confident in Litecoin leading this rally and leading us back out again. I'm just kind of hoping that it doesn't go too crazy right now, because into Shanghai is when I want to get all my fills on everything, really, everything that I've been waiting for. Now let's take a look at the altcoin buys and sells now. I was talking about Arweave last video, and I was saying how it's just going sideways, and it kind of reminds me of Matic back in the day. And here's the Matic chart. Now, I went back through my records, and beginning of September 2020 is when I did buy Matic, just under 2 cents. And, you know, in memory, I thought it was years that I was holding this thing, but in fact it was only 4 months, and that felt like a long time to hold it, for it to do nothing. And I got bored after a couple of months, and I started selling my position down. And then, of course, it took off. Absolutely took off. I did put in some pretty good sells here. The worst sell I did was the remainder that I had, which I got out in January of 2022. I don't have the exact price, but it was, I think, $1.40 something from memory. Let me see here. I don't know if we probably didn't even get down to $1.40. Well, it was something. It was around there in January. Okay, so it's just a lesson for me in terms of things like Arweave, that it's a really good project. Okay, it's made some massive partnerships. It's cutting edge tech, and the price is not reflecting that right now. So it's something that I will be. I hold a decent position, and I'll be looking to add to that position if price comes into where it needs to come into. What else have we got to look at here? Okay, Trader Joe. I did let some go at, I think, 22.5 after this big dump. And what happened, of course, it went berserk because Arbitrum's coming out, and it's going to be one of the main dexes on Arbitrum. I haven't sold anything here. If we get to 79.45, I'm not counting on it happening anytime soon, but if that was to happen, I would take some profits. But really, I'm just looking to hold this. Yellow line is where I'm looking to take profits. For now, just enjoying the price action. Immutable X, very interesting one, because since last video it went absolutely crazy. Broke out of this local high. It's a tough one. If it does come back to this 618 at about 84 cents, I do have to take a good hard look at it, especially if it's around this blue-green line. I know the tokenomics of this project are not great, but it does have a lot of hype. There is a chance that this does end up being the premier kind of gaming L2, so you have to pay attention to it, and I will keep monitoring it. Render, I did have my order at 91. I think I had it at 92 cents. I pulled it. Talk about order pulling regret. That was the local bottom there. I do have an order now at $1.02. It's a decent order. If somehow we get crazy capitulation at 61.5, I have a huge order to buy big, and I have no issues just loading up at 61.5. No issues at all. Looking at the graph, I actually cannot remember. I've listened to so many podcasts, so much YouTube recently, that it's hard for me to remember exactly where I heard this, but people were talking about metaverse and what is the killer app for metaverse, or how does metaverse actually take off? Because for me, I've always kind of thought, sure, metaverse, it's something to trade, but what is the actual, how does adoption actually happen? Is it a real thing, or is it just a fad? And they're talking about how data, they're talking about the value of data, and imagine you're in the future, you're in a metaverse, and as soon as you get into that metaverse, the metaverse knows all your data in terms of if you're using a particular wallet. If you, for example, use Uniswap, it knows. If you do trades of a particular token, or you own a particular token, it knows. If you've done loans, it knows. And these are the types of data that it would then be able to mold the metaverse around you based on this data, or I suppose advertising. Not that I'm an advertising expert, but certainly that's how, your Googles, your Facebooks, Instagrams, etc. That's how they generate all the revenue. So they're just talking about how data is valuable, and the graph is leading the amalgamation of all that data for blockchains. And so that kind of got me thinking, I don't understand it fully, but as a narrative, it certainly has value. So I'm monitoring the graph closely. If we come back into 11 around here, I'll be definitely picking some of that up. Lossless I've been talking about a lot. I initially got in at 15 cents, sold some at 30, exited everything that I had left at 25.2 because it just didn't look like it was going to hold. And at 15.4, if we come back down to 15.4, I'll be loading up again. So, it's a bit of a shame, because this, for me, is a really good project. The marketing spend is probably close to zero. I don't know that for a fact, but it just feels like it. And it's just one of those things where it's going to take time, but eventually I do think this project will really take off in price. Let's take a look at Mina. if this thing does come back around into the 60 cents, if this stabs into 60 cents, I'll be loading up big on this project. Because you got Arbitrum, which has just done their airdrop, you'd expect once kind of this Shanghai thing, provided all goes smoothly, there's going to be an L2 narrative after that. That's what I would assume. So I am looking at Arbitrum. I mean, I didn't participate in the airdrop or anything like that. But if we get a decent round of price into this blue line, then I'll be looking to pick some up. Now, if price just goes, does something else, then there's nothing to do there. I'll just let it go. Let's take a look at, I think we'll look at the trades since last video, which are quite telling. I've bought nothing. I've just been very disciplined, sitting on my hands, because my central thesis is wait until Shanghai. Wait until Shanghai. Bitcoin's taking off. That's right. But doesn't mean that alts are going to take off straight away. There's heaps of people out there saying, oh, here's how it goes. Bitcoin takes off. The money flows into alts. They're going to take off alt season. It's really hard to block that out and be disciplined, but that's what I'm doing because I have my own central thesis to follow, and that's what I'm doing. So I have been doing some selling. All my lossless I've sold. All my Phantasma was hard to do, but I've sold. All my A0. Wow, that's a hard one. I sold all of that, and I've decreased my positions of DYDX, ETH, and Joe. In terms of some things on the watch list, this is incomplete because I do have a larger watch list, but this is the subset for today. We've talked about the graph, lossless, Mina, and Render, and these other coins are things that I'm interested in. I may have talked about before, or I may talk about in the future. Now, of course, in terms of the trades, there is a link to a Google Sheet in the description below, where I enter all of my trades as they happen, or if you're interested in notifications for any trade that I make, come and join the Discord channel. I post all my trades there as soon as they happen. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching. If you're able to find some value, please help by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Any questions about particular coins or anything really, if you leave a comment below, I will make sure I respond and I'll let you know my thoughts. I'm aiming to be back in another fortnight's time, so until then, let's always be looking for an edge. Take care until next time, and thanks for watching the $100,000 to $1 million challenge.